Es gibt ja viele Kritiker der EU, die sagen, die EU wird immer zentralistischer, immer diktatorischer auch und dass am Ende sozusagen auch Aufstände oder Aufbegehren gegen diese Form der EU und gegen diese Form von Europa niedergeknüppelt, womöglich so niedergeschossen werden kann. Ich erinnere an Lissabon-Vertrag und Todesschuss bei Aufstand. Wie ist Ihre Meinung zu dem Thema?
Das befürchte ich auch. Also ich gehöre auch zu den Kritikern, die also der Europäischen Union diktatorische Tendenzen bescheinigen. Das ist einfach eine Analyse der Verträge und der Praxis. Das ist so konzipiert. Jedenfalls ist die Union in keiner Weise demokratisch legitimiert. Und wenn es dann zu den erwarteten Unruhen wegen der wirtschaftlichen Schwierigkeiten kommt, hat sich die Union das Mittel geschaffen, also auch zu töten, um sich durchzusetzen. Denn das Recht auf Leben, das groß propagiert wird in der Grundrechtecharta, ist sehr relativiert durch die Zusatzerklärungen, die maßgeblich sind, an 4 Stellen des Vertrages vorkommen und die besagen, dass eben nicht nur die Todesstrafe eingeführt werden kann im Kriegsfall und bei drohender Kriegsgefahr, sondern dass auch Aufstände und Aufruhr niedergeschlagen werden kann, ohne dass das Recht auf Leben dem entgegensteht, also auch durch Tötungsmaßnahmen.
Wie erklären Sie sich denn?
So, for those who do not speak German, this professor, and this was a clip from 2008, 2009, I believe 2009. This German professor was explaining that in the EU law, in this EU treaty made in Lisbon, they put also in the ultimate power over life and death, over you and me. If they deem something to be an uproar or an uprising, they have the power to shoot with deadly intent. They have the power in wartime to reinstitute the death penalty. They have the power to deem you an enemy of the state, etc., etc., etc. So, now in Holland, next Saturday, the 11th of March 2023, the Dutch government is gonna use the army to block the entrance into Den Haag, the army. And I, as a former Dutch soldier, NATO soldier, I feel fucking ashamed if I would take part of that order. I would feel ashamed. I would not even take part in that order. I would refuse it. Yes, why? Very simple. Very simple. I went into the army because we made a promise to the world, Germans. We made a promise, this never again. The only way I could think of how I, with my capabilities, can help was to go and enlist to become a professional soldier and to keep a watchful eye out so this happens never again. It's that simple. As a German, that's how you repay your debt to the world for World War II. Not the way your occupiers, your overlords, the USA demands from you by paying in coin for World War I. Still, yeah. Germany is an occupied country. It always has been. And it's not the Russians occupying it. No. They liberated Germany back then from Nazism and fascism. They. And we repaid them with a betrayal. As a guarantor in the Minsk I and Minsk II, and not wanting to honor our word, remember, he is signing on your behalf. That's how democracy works. You cannot have it both ways, you public out there. Huh? When they make some bloody mistake, like starting a war, then all of a sudden it's they. No, it's you. It's you out there. Look in the fucking mirror and take your responsibility. You elected that guy to be there. That's your responsibility, right? Democracy. So, it's also your responsibility if we go from the right path to bring it back on track. That's also your responsibility, you out there, the public. And you don't take that responsibility by asking your overlords and those who go against your responsibility and your interests. You do not change track by asking them, oh please, can I use my voice so you change track? Please, 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 I elected you. Please keep your word, when they clearly don't keep their word. If you think that when diplomacy ends, you should beg, then you are really, really hopelessly lost in Europe. Because in the Second World War, many, many, many Germans spoke out. Yes, many. Many people everywhere in Europe spoke out against the dangers of the fascism, and it was a clash between two ideologies, right? Communism and fascism. But both were what? Yes, two sides of the same coin. And this figuratively, because the banks, those powers, the money lenders, the people who will never lose because they will profit from both sides, those people tested what? Two different methods of control. It's that fucking simple. Huh? And now they fine-tuned and fine-tuned and fine-tuned. That's what these think tanks like the WEF do. Huh? And then they influence with nice words like, well, yes, it's a painful way to get where we need to go, but it's necessary. I agree with the words of Mr. Kissinger in the 70s. We will have a world government. Whether you like it or not, it's just a matter of what? Consent or conquest. It's inevitable when we are connected more and more, right? It's inevitable when you have this kind of import-export dependencies. It's inevitable. Holland has its own gas. And then what? We sell it to others and refuse to give it for very, very cheap, virtually, let's say, for price of production to the Dutch. Imagine what kind of boost that would have given to the Dutch economy. I agree that gas should have been pumped for the Dutch. That infrastructure back then was paid by my parents, by your parents, those of my generation. Yes, they paid for those gas lines, they paid for the telephone lines, they paid for the electricity, etc. They paid for the communications cables, all that infrastructure, they paid. And then it got what? Privatized. When I was a teen, everything became much more expensive because of these privatizations. So yes, that's how they brought you on your knees, slowly taking your sovereignty, bit by bit, and making you pay for it. And if you don't like it, then we just kill you. Think of this professor. Have a nice day.
Es gibt ja viele Kritiker der EU, die sagen, EU wird immer zentralistischer, immer diktatorischer auch und dass am Ende sozusagen auch Aufstände oder Aufbegehren gegen diese Form der EU und gegen diese Form von Europa niedergeknüppelt, womöglich so niedergeschossen werden kann. Ich erinnere an Lissabon-Vertrag und Todesschuss bei Aufstand. Wie ist Ihre Meinung zu dem Thema?
Das befürchte ich auch. Also ich gehöre auch zu den Kritikern, die also der Europäischen Union diktatorische Tendenzen bescheinigen. Das ist einfach eine Analyse der Verträge und der Praxis. Das ist so konzipiert. Jedenfalls ist die Union in keiner Weise demokratisch legitimiert. Und wenn es dann zu den erwarteten Unruhen wegen der wirtschaftlichen Schwierigkeiten kommt, hat sich die Union das Mittel geschaffen, also auch zu töten, um sich durchzusetzen. Denn das Recht auf Leben, das groß propagiert wird in der Grundrechtecharta, ist sehr relativiert durch die Zusatzerklärungen, die eigentlich maßgeblich sind, an 4 Stellen des Vertrages vorkommen und die besagen, dass eben nicht nur die Todesstrafe eingeführt werden kann im Kriegsfall und bei drohender Kriegsgefahr, sondern dass auch Aufstände und Aufruhr niedergeschlagen werden kann, ohne dass das Recht auf Leben dem entgegensteht, also auch durch Tötungsmaßnahmen.
Wie